We are often told something reassuring. If material insecurity were eliminated, if poverty were reduced, if economic inequality were corrected, then social conflict would fade. Politics would calm, ideology would soften, division would dissolve. In Chapter 14 of The Road to Serfdom, Friedrich Hayek challenges this belief directly, and what he argues is quietly unsettling. Prosperity does not end conflict, it transforms it. There is a powerful assumption beneath modern politics, that economic grievances are the root cause of moral and ideological disagreement. Fix the economic structure, and the superstructure will follow. This idea is most clearly articulated by Karl Marx. For Marx, material conditions shape consciousness. Change the economic base, and values will evolve with it. Hayek does not deny that economic conditions matter, but he doubts something deeper. He doubts that prosperity produces moral unity. Imagine a society where survival is secure, food is abundant, housing stable, employment guaranteed. Would disagreement end? Hayek says no, because once survival anxiety fades, conflict moves upward, from bread to meaning. People begin to argue not over resources, but over purpose, over identity, over what the good life means. And these conflicts are not economic, they are philosophical. Here Hayek introduces a crucial distinction. In a free society, individuals choose their own hierarchy of ends. For one person, artistic creation ranks highest. For another, family stability. For another, scientific discovery. For another, religious devotion. For another, equality. For another, excellence. There is no universal ranking system, no objective scale that all rational people will accept. And this is not a flaw of society, it is the condition of freedom. But a planned economy cannot tolerate this plurality. It must rank ends. It must decide, is steel more important than poetry? Is military security more urgent than environmental preservation? Is equality more valuable than innovation? Is stability preferable to dynamism? These are not technical questions. They are moral judgments. And once economic authority must rank moral ends, economic planning becomes moral planning. The administrator becomes arbiter of value. Here lies the subtle danger. If material equality does not produce unity, then unity must be imposed. Disagreement becomes inefficiency, dissent becomes obstruction, diversity of ends becomes instability, and so pressure grows to align society around a single vision, not because planners are evil, but because coordination demands it. Hayek's insight feels strikingly modern. Some of the most prosperous societies in history are also deeply polarized. Why? Because once material survival is secure, politics migrates towards meaning, toward identity, toward culture, toward moral vision. Economic growth does not eliminate ideology, it amplifies the demand for it. There is another temptation here, the belief that social justice can be engineered scientifically, that there exists a final, rational arrangement of resources that will end disagreement. But Hayek insists there is no single measurable formula for the right distribution of meaning. Politics is not a math problem. It is a field of competing visions, and visions cannot be harmonized by decree. This is where Hayek quietly diverges, not only from Marx, but from all forms of historicism. Marx believed history moved towards reconciliation, toward a final harmony beyond class conflict. Later thinkers would call this historical necessity. Karl Popper would warn that such beliefs turn disagreement into heresy, because if history guarantees justice, opposition becomes irrational. Hayek's argument is more restrained, but no less radical. He denies that history is inevitable. He denies that prosperity guarantees peace. He denies that history converges. There is something deeply human in the opposite belief. We want to believe that suffering is merely a technical failure, that justice can be engineered, that conflict is a byproduct of scarcity. It would be comforting to think that if the economic machine were calibrated correctly, virtue would follow. But when virtue is engineered, it ceases to be virtue. It becomes compliance. Hayek's alternative is not indifference to poverty. It is humility about power. A free society does not promise unanimity. It does not promise final harmony. It does not promise the end of conflict. It accepts disagreement as permanent. It protects the freedom to rank ends differently. It allows experimentation. It tolerates friction. Its strength is not consensus. It is correction. If values cannot be unified, if prosperity does not eliminate conflict, if planning inevitability ranks ends, then the central question becomes unavoidable. How do we design institutions that prevent moral authority from consolidating into coercive power? In Chapter 15, Hayek turns from diagnosis to structure. If we cannot engineer harmony, we must limit authority. I'll see you there.